rusty wheels and knew I'd take her home. I brought her to my farm in an Amish neighborhood where simple living's valued. She'd be loved and understood. I put her on a treadle stand and coaxed her wheel to turn. I felt her joy and easing with my study and concern. I cleaned her and I oiled her, showed her off to all my friends, repaired the hurts of years and let her sew again.
Hello everybody, welcome back. So this beautiful machine I'm about to get started on, this is a customer's machine who's going to be looking actually very fabulous when we're done. This, don't you love the shape of this base here? This is a household model sewing machine of Providence, New York, the Providence Tool Company. And the customer is guessing it was done in the 1880s based on the shape of the bed. Later models used a rectangular bed, and the company itself, was closed, destroyed by fire, that kind of thing in 1905. So that's what's giving us an idea of her original story. You can see she's in pretty bad shape as far as her looks. The last remnants of some decal here, it looks kind of like a daisy type of a design. That's going to go. And back here, this is the stitch length adjustment, and it's in the back of the pillar, which is interesting. And also, let me tip her back. There's a couple parts where you can see there's a little bit of damage that I'm going to try my best to try to even out and make it look pretty. But she's going to get the full-blown disassembly, strip paint, reassembly treatment, and hopefully everything will come out well. She does turn, she does kind of make a stitch, but it's not a great stitch, but we can fix that. So let me go ahead, get my gloves on, get all of my stuff together, and we'll just start taking her apart. I want to show you her owner sent a print out of what she found on the machine. So this is it, the household sewing machine, and pictures and things. This is a very unusual base shape, and unfortunately the original treadle cabinet was not available, so the owner has made another one work and created a base. But I love these old copies of the manuals. And if you can see on here, we're getting an idea of what the decals look like. So that's going to help me later when I can figure out how to work it and everything. But I just wanted to show you, a lot of times on the 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐞's website, they might have information like this. Don't you love all of the stylistic details on this? The little points, the little everything. I mean, it's very different from a lot of the machines that are like, singers and things, which work well, but they don't have the style of this. It's just beautiful. So anyway, I'm going to put this back, refer to it later as we're getting her put together again. But I think what I'm going to do is just get started taking off her shiny parts first. So up here, this is the tension mechanism for the upper thread. Pulling that off. Isn't that beautiful? That is just shiny from the friction here. This is on by a pin. At this point, I don't think I want to hammer that pin out. I'm thinking as this goes through my stripper, it's going to clean that out just fine, so I'm going to leave that on there, but this is going to get put in its own little baggie. And if you've been around, what I do is basically, as I take a component off, I put each individual little component in its own baggie, and put all the little baggies in its own little plastic shoebox here, and keep everything organized and together that way. Okay, let's take this plate off here. Let's see what is behind here. Now, this machine does not have a place in the back that I can attach to my block with the pins, so when I work underneath, I'm just going to have to turn her over. Very nice thick plate here. I think that's going to polish up beautifully. Let's see if we can get a look inside here to see what's going on. Isn't that cool? I love it. So many times I see an old machine and it's kind of like just a rebranding of a different model, but this looks like a totally different machine than I've seen in other places, and I love that. Okay, so I'm just going to stop playing with that for a while. Let me get the bobbin winder off, and if you can see on this bracket, it looks like the bracket itself is screwed onto the machine, but I'm going to come over here and try to loosen it up first. Okay, so there's a bolt coming off here. Hang on, I need to grab a little dish. Put that in, pulling it off, okay. On this side over here, next to the bolt, I have a regular flat washer, and then there's a knurled nut in the middle. Okay, and here is the bobbin winder. So that's going to get stripped and painted. So I'm going to set it aside over here. But this bracket, it's an L bracket, and the L part that sticks out is towards the wheel. And I say all these things because I need to know how to put it back together correctly. And this is a somewhat obscure machine model, and I'm not too sure if there's another video out on YouTube on how to do it, so I want to make sure I put my information out there. Okay, all right, so this is bobbin winder parts. Let me get those put away and this put away to be stripped off. Okay, I'm gonna get started up here in the front, and this is kind of reminiscent of a new home machine here, but very different. This is Dufurban here, all of that. So I think what I'm going to do first is go ahead and take off the lifter lever. Maybe. Oh, look how cool this is. Look at this. That is very cool. Okay, so that is to release the presser foot. Oh my goodness, I've never seen something like that. Sorry, I'm fangirling about it over here, but wow, look at that. Huh. All right, I'm going to need to get the needle and the presser foot off. So give me a second to get this situated. Okay, I just went through the little booklet that she sent with the machine, and I did not see in there any of the machines that they had that had this cool little handle on there. So that's going to be something nifty. I need to put a bigger bit on my little Chapman here and see if I can undo this top screw. I'm going to put a little bit of leverage on, because why not? No, that actually came off pretty easily. All right. Okay, there we go. I honestly don't even know how that works. Let me pull this little screw off here. Usually on something like this where there's a foot like that, there's a nut here that you can loosen up so you can just pull the foot off, and it looks like a brass foot, which is, you know, very cool. I am not seeing how this should come apart. If I look straight down into there, I can see it flat. Well, I don't want to force it, and I can't seem to separate these two pieces. And this won't come off unless those do. And I have a feeling they're just kind of glued together. So here's my thought. When I clean this and I run it through my ultrasonic cleaner, hopefully it will vibrate loose whatever gunk is in there holding this together, and then I'll be able to unscrew it. If I can't at that point easily, then I'll, you know, take more serious measures, because you have to be able to take the presser foot off, you know, that's just a given. But yeah, that's very cool. It's not in that booklet at all, and I've never seen a little handle off to the side like that before, so very cool. So to take the faceplate off, there's 2 screws here and 2 down below here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pull those 4 screws off, and then I should be able to pull that whole faceplate off. Should have pulled that ratchet off, but you know, these things happen. Okay, so there's the bottom ones. Oh, this is in my way. I tried that other camera that was mounted on my head so I wouldn't have to deal with, you know, this right in my face. And that was a disaster. If you're one of the 100 or so people that saw that video, I think people got seriously seasick watching me move my camera all over, so you know, that's no good. Okay, one more. Honestly, I'll just take this off because we don't need that. Okay. All right, so there are my 4 screws, and are they all the same size? No, 2 are smaller than the others, and I believe the 2 that are shorter were on the bottom. Okay, let's see if we can get this off here. Usually they kind of wiggle off. Don't know, I've never done one of these, so let's see. Looks like the bottom is loose. I'm gonna have to move you. Not wanting to come off loose at the top, so I am going to try to remove a few more things here. I love you guys, but you are seriously in the way sometimes. Okay, let's see here. I know this is, well, there's a screw over here on this side, which shouldn't have anything to do with holding that closed, but we're going to go ahead and pull it out anyway. Whoop, yep, it did have something to do with holding it closed. Okay. All right, well, that's cool. So this part here is very much like a new home and some of the other machines. This over here is very different. So this part of the cog, I am believing, is going to be riding up against over here, so that as this moves up and down, this is going to move up and down, which is going to pull that spring back and forth. Okay, there is, I can turn you here, a little bearing right here I do not want to lose. So I'm going to put that over here. Now let's take a look at this. This is just a very simple presser bar configuration here. Now this is what is so intriguing to me. Don't you just love the simplicity of that? Anyhow, let me get organized. I'm going to need to take the springs off and pull this whole little mechanism off. Okay, so this is my needle bar, and I'm going to see if I can just unscrew this a little bit. That's the needle clamp. Pull the needle out. Okay, it is a, looks like a standard needle. Hang on. Just grab one here. Well, it's a little bit longer than a standard needle. Not too much, just a little bit longer. But it's close enough. We could probably make a standard one work with a little bit of adjustment. So that's cool. It's going to go there. The needle bar looks like this. So here's the little screw I just loosened. That nut comes off. And this comes through here. There's an opening over to the side and a slot. The slot goes down, okay? So here's the slot that the needle's going to travel in. This slot here on that little screw is going to line up with that slot, okay? So let me get that put aside. And I'm going to keep this separate since this is more tension and that is more needle bar. Okay, so now let's get this spring off of here, if I can. You know what, I need a hook. I need a little hook. Come on, little crochet hook, don't fail me now. There it goes. Okay, so this spring, the loop that's facing out nice and flat, that flat part is lining up over here, and it just loops over this little nub, okay? And then that comes over this little nub in the casting. So that is there. Let's get this screw off here. Ooh, that is tight. Okay. Sometimes just a little bit of leverage with this ratchet makes life so much easier. Okay, so now with that out, this whole piece is coming out. This little bumper here is attached to this with a pin. I'm not taking that off. I will take this off when I'm cleaning it, and then I'll put this wire back on as soon as I'm done, just to make sure I have it back on the right way. But it looks like that wire's just on with this little screw there. Okay, so the last thing here is the lifter lever and presser bar. And we have 2 screws going to this clamp here, which is interesting. Okay, so first, lifter lever is coming off. Okay, so there is that. Then the next screw up, well, you know what? I'm not too sure. Let me get a smaller bit here. See if that's going to work. Okay, so there's one screw coming out. So this is the bottom screw. It has a big fat, like 1/8 of an inch deep head on it, and then so it's almost like a bushing, but it's same level there. Okay, let me get a smaller bit. Still too big there for this top one. There we go. Okay, so the top screw looks the same. Is it the same? Let's see. Well, they look the same. This top one might be a little more conical. Yes, it is. See how that top one's a little more conical and this is more straight? Don't know if you can see that. Okay, maybe there. So when I'm putting it back together, conical goes on top, straight goes underneath it. Other than that, they look the same. Okay. So now I have this up here too, and I'm trying to figure out what is holding this on if all of these screws are taken off. I think it's just the glue. I'm pretty sure I can just twist this off. Yes, I can. Okay, so I'm twisting out the presser bar. I flip this over. Oops. Hang on, let me grab that spring. And here, this clamp, it was up on top like this, with this piece sticking out, okay? And I need to look up and see exactly what this upper hole is going for. I'm not too sure exactly. but I will figure that out soon. Okay, so this bag, we've got our presser bar, and I'm going to get a magnet to put in here because I've got some little screws I don't want to lose. And here's that really long spring. Put all of that in there. Okay, so that leaves the front plate. Oopsie. This goes in with that bag I just put away. Huh. I don't know why there's 2 screws on there. I don't. But I'm sure as I work on it and put it back together, I'll figure out why. Just an extra safety against that spring wanting to throw things around, maybe. Don't know. But this is going to get stripped and painted. Okay. If you hold it up just right, you can kind of see where there might have been a design on there at one point, but it's long gone. So, all right, let me put that over here. And see what else we have up here in the very front before I move on. Okay, so up on top, I've got a couple thread guides, which are held on by this one screw. Oh my goodness, right there. Okay, so there's a little bump and a big bump. The little bump is towards the back, the big bump is towards the front. Okay. And over here, this is what, remember I was showing you that clamp? I'm like, what is that other part for? This little hole here, or this little bit here, that's what that other part of that little clamp is for. That's what this was for. And this, if it goes through that little clampy part, this increases the pressure on the presser foot. So it's kind of like the finials usually are, except it's not on top of the presser foot, it's off to the side. Which is kind of nifty, you know? So that's going to need to get cleaned up. Okay, then we've got these 2 screws off to the side, and those have something to do with holding that tension system in. I know as soon as I released this screw a little bit, that released the whole thing to pop out. So I'm going to go ahead and put those in the same little baggie that I have of those pieces in that I just took off the top. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and pull off the slide plates. There we go. There's a number if you're looking for it. Get that cleaned up. Let's see. The back one's always stickier. This is no exception. I use a piece of wood, in this case my little wooden jeweler's hammer. Put that up against it and then tap. Actually, let me bring the shuttle forward so it's not in the way. Pull that out. Ooh, that's a long shuttle. Okay, put this up against it and find a tiny hammer here and just tap this, because I don't want to put metal on metal here and tap it because it can bend that really easily. Okay, so you can see now it's coming right off. Yay, life is good. What do these patent dates say? They start 1874 and go up to 1882 is the latest one. Household Sewing Machine Company, Providence, Rhode Island, USA. How cool is that, huh? Okay, let me get those put away. And at the same time, I'm going to try to get this plate off. It's a nice oval-shaped plate. Gotta love that. Okay. A little screw and a nice little oval-shaped plate, and the feed dogs, which look good, look nice and strong and sharp. Okay, so I just have her tipped up here on her nose, resting on a piece of wood. Well, you can't see it there, but I want to give a good look at her base because I don't have a way to clamp her on. I don't want her to risk falling off and everything, and since she's an odd shape, you know, not terribly supported. But I just wanted to give you a quick look at what she looks like here before I tip her down on her side, because that's more stable. The easiest thing to look at for me is what comes off first is what's closer to the outside. So if I look right here, this very cool system, which I've got to just show you this. Look at how this screws in and out, is going to adjust the pressure here, or the angle of this on here, which is going to change how far the feed dogs move. Is that cool or what? I love that. So I'm going to go ahead and take this part off first and then work on underneath, because that's the outside piece. So to me, the first thing is to go ahead and take this screw off. This is basically working like the block inside of like a Singer or something normally would, the stitch length block, but it's here, it's on the outside, and it's easy to get to, so yay for them. Oh, let me get a different bit. This one is too narrow. Okay, so that is unscrewing here carefully. I feel like I want to put pillows all over my floor. And I have put rubber down on my floor before, but the problem is I have this concrete floor, and technically I'm in a basement, and condensate gets under it and it turned into a big wet mess. Okay, so I don't do that. So this is an eccentric bolt on top of everything else going on here. That's an eccentric bolt, so we've got all kinds of adjustments going on. Oh, wait a minute. It's not eccentric, it's just very dirty on one side. So basic bolt, all right. So now, hopefully, let's see, how is this gonna work? You know what? This top nut comes off, that unscrews, and then that whole post is down below. Give me a second. No, it doesn't unscrew, okay. I am lowering it all the way. Okay, and now that it's lowered all the way, this should pop off. Okay, so this is what we have here. Below the spring is a washer, okay? So we have this post up here that's threaded, then we have a washer, then a spring, then another washer, and then this piece. And there is an adjustment screw right here, which is very, very dirty. I'm going to leave that screw right where it is, because at this point I'm not sure exactly what it's adjusting. Okay, put those pieces in there. And now that that is out, now I should be able to untwist this from the top. Like this. Okay, that is such a cool system. All right, so let me go ahead and get this put away carefully, and I'll be right back. Okay, so now down here below, this is the one that's in my way the most here. This is attached to a fork that I'm at this point planning on removing. So to get this off out here, it looks like there's a screw on either side, but in order to release those, which might be like pivot point pins, I'm not sure at this point, it looks like I need to undo these two screws first. So I'm just going to back them out a bit here. Where did you go? Here you are. Another one of those little shouldered screws here. And one here. And it looks like this is painted. Just dropped that, hang on. It looks like this is painted and it looks like this is painted. So I'm going to go ahead and strip and paint both of those arms too. So now that that is out, let's see if I can pull this pin out. That is coming out nicely. It looks like a big pivot point or something. Yeah, it is. It's a pivot point. Okay, so let me flip her over and get to the one on the other side. Right here. Okay. Okay, so now that pivot point is out, and that just slid right off. All right, so over here we have a couple screws. And I need to keep these two tiny screws I just took out of here separate from these two. So we have the one coming in off the side first. Let me get a smaller bit again. Okay, so we have one coming in the side here. And then one going all the way through here. Okay. So the one that came off the side is obviously shorter than this one that goes all the way through. Come on. Okay, so this one is nice and long. So those two are obviously easy to differentiate. So this is going to go over with my other parts that I'm stripping down and painting. Okay, so down here below, this is what I am seeing. To get this off, okay, it's rotating it around here. I'm thinking that if I pull this screw off, I should be able to pull that collar off. And over here, if I loosen this screw, it should condense that so I can pull it off that way. That's my thought right now. See how it goes. Oops, I need to get these things put away. Okay. Back to it. That is off. Well, it's loose. I don't think it's threaded there. I'm just pulling it off camera, of course, and it's coming off, okay? So there you go. And I need to try to loosen this little screw up here a bit. Oh, come on. Okay, that is loosened up enough. This should slide. Are you going to slide? Maybe not. Maybe it wants me to take it all the way out. To get you out of my way. Okay. Well, that's an interesting shaped screw, isn't it? It's very conical. It's ridged up here too. That is wild. Okay, so that's what's going in here. I'm thinking it should come off. I'm thinking it should. While it's like this, I'm going to go ahead and pull the little shuttle bobbin holder bracket thing off here. Okay, so there's that. Definitely needs a clean. Trying. Gear puller is what I'm... my stick fell out. Hang on. Almost. Okay. We've got her off here. Okay. And that's going to get painted also. Okay, so as far as over here, the little pieces, these two little round washers that were on either side of here, I'm just going to put those in the same little hardware bag as this stuff. But we're looking a lot more empty down here. Okay, so right now I want to show you down inside of the cavern here. This just feels very loose, okay? This is heavier, and this is permanently affixed, all right? So this is the part that was rubbing against the stitch length lever. So this is, I'm thinking, kind of like the fork that I normally work with. This just seems to have a connection that is all the way around this big bolt right here, and I'm not sure if I'm taking that off. But I can tell you that when I put this into my stripper, the chemicals that are in there are going to clean this off very, very well. So even if I don't take it off, I don't think there's going to be any problem at all. It's the fork that I'm wondering about, but before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and take the wheel off. And if you can see, there's a whole lot of damage to the plating on the wheel. Haven't decided how I'm tackling that yet. So let's just go ahead and see if we can get it off. There's not a screw. A lot of times there's a screw there, and it's very greasy. Let me get my gloves back on. It is very hard to get neoprene gloves on sweaty hands, so I'm just putting my work gloves on here. So unscrewing this, which will polish up beautifully, I'm hoping. Okay. And pulling off the wheel, maybe? Ooh, no, it looks like I need to, this is like a big screw here. I need to unloosen that screw first. If you can see right there. Okay, so I'm having a little issue with this wheel, and here is my dilemma. The way that the wheel works, this, is on there normally, and to work normally, this has to be screwed in all the way, and then things will move up and down, okay? To disengage it for winding a bobbin, you just unscrew this a little bit, and it won't, okay? There's no little screw or washer or anything in there I need to worry about. But the way that this is on, okay, looking at it this way, I can get you down here. There is this big nut of some kind right here that has it connected to the main shaft. That's the very end of that main shaft there. And as I turn this right now, it's not spinning. This is staying still, okay? This is like it would be if it's winding a bobbin, okay? When it's normal sewing, this turns, all right? So in order to pull the wheel off, I'm turning it up here with my hand, turning that so that you can see that that's connected to the main shaft. In order to get the wheel off, I need to get this off. This is like 1 inch wide here. And so, except for the end of my crowbar kind of thing, I've got this little spatula, which is not a power tool, that will go all the way across. But I'm finding it very hard to break that so that it will, unscrew while I am holding this, okay? Because that wants to turn. I even got some channel locks up here just to try to give it a grab, but it's not coming loose easily. So I think I'm going to leave this on when I put it in the stripper, and hopefully once it comes out of the stripper tank, I'll be able to loosen that up. That's my hope right now. And the one thing I forgot to do while it was upside down is take off all of this stuff over here because my feed dogs are still in there. So let me flip her back over and we'll deal with that. Okay, so down here below I have this spring that I'm going to pull off. And this bar, you know what? I need to unscrew these feed dogs before I can pull that bar out. And trying to see, it looks like this bracket here is what I need to unscrew. So let me go ahead and get that taken off. Hang on, I need my little ratchet thing. And a different bit. Hang on a second, let me get you out of my way. Go ahead and pull this spring off all the way. Just open it up just a hair so I can get it off. Let's see, what is holding this? Oh, look, this whole thing is feed dogs. Look at that. It's a massive piece, a single piece. No wonder I couldn't find the screw. Okay, so that is the feed dogs. All right, so now that just leaves this screw down here. And honestly, it's giving me some trouble. If it doesn't come easily, I'm just gonna leave it on because it doesn't need to be adjusted. So hang on. Nope, it's staying on, staying on. I would rather leave it on than risk stripping it, you know? So that's it. That's how she's gonna go in the tank. I'm gonna go ahead and turn on the heater on my stripping tank. It is a stripper tank. Her name is Thunder, or his name is Thunder, I should tell you. My stripper tank is a guy. So let me go ahead and get that turned on, put her in there. That's going to do it for this first video. Next time, I'll show you how I'm going to get her painted up and beautiful. So thank you so much for coming along. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.